Everything you've been taught about confidence is a lie. You've been told that confidence comes from success, that you need to achieve something before you can feel confident about achieving more. This is backwards thinking that keeps people trapped in cycles of mediocrity forever.
It is our attitude toward life which will determine life's attitude toward us. Let's face the fact honestly that we shape our own lives, and the shapes of them will be determined by our attitudes.
Nobody you know has become successful outside of it being given to them from their family. Nobody you know has actually created success without working their face off.
Your mind has to seek discomfort. It has to seek these difficult tasks. You have to enjoy it. And you have to figure out a way to make your mind enjoy those things.
The truth that successful people don't want you to know is that confidence doesn't come from results. It comes from the conversations you have with yourself when nobody else is listening, while you're waiting to feel confident enough to take action. Confident people are taking action to create the feelings they want. They've learned to manufacture confidence through strategic self-talk, and they're using this unfair advantage to get the opportunities, relationships, and results that you think are reserved for people who are naturally gifted. You've been playing by rules that guarantee you'll lose, while others are playing by rules that guarantee they'll win. Your mind generates over 60,000 thoughts every single day. 60,000 conversations happening inside your head. And here's what most people never realize. You are having these conversations whether you pay attention to them or not.
A person with a poor attitude toward learning, for example, isn't going to learn much until he changes his attitude. If we take the attitude that we cannot do something, we generally will not do it. An attitude of failure, and we're whipped before we start. So we know then that what we receive from life, what we accomplish or fail to accomplish, is due in large measure to our overall attitude. William James of Harvard University put it this way: "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And isn't it wonderful that we have this measure of control? Before we start talking about our attitude toward the world, let's talk about our attitude toward ourselves, since it is the attitude we take toward ourselves which determines our attitude toward the world. Now right here we come to a rather strange fact. We're so familiar with ourselves, we tend to take ourselves for granted. We tend to minimize the things we can accomplish, the goals we can reach, and for some equally strange reason, believe others can accomplish things in our field which we cannot. There are literally millions of human beings living narrow, darkened, frustrated lives, living defensively, simply because they take a defensive, doubtful attitude toward themselves, and as a result, toward life in general.
So you can sit and talk about luck, and you can sit and talk about this, that, or the other thing, but I promise you, the only controllable thing you have is your work ethic. And if you sit around and ponder, well, if I didn't live here, or if my mom wasn't an alcoholic, or if I just learned about this earlier, or if I'd been following this person earlier, or if I wasn't born a woman, or if I wasn't born a minority, if you sit and do that, you are losing. You're not wrong. It's just that business and marketing and all this doesn't care. There's just no emotion in the market. Like, that's it. And so I think we need to start having much deeper, much more serious conversations of practicality. You know, it's fun, and I love this space the most, but I loved it long before it was sexy. I loved it long before people wanted to take selfies with me. I loved it long before athletes and celebrities and rappers wanted to be entrepreneurs. I loved it long before that. It was my destiny. It was who I was. It was how I was wired. It was the only thing I knew. That's why the 4-year-old me ripped flowers out of yards and sold it.
Some people it comes easy and some people it doesn't. Some people it takes a long time. I always tell people the best thing you could ever do is force yourself to a schedule. Just write it down. Like today I have to do an hour on the treadmill. I have to do an hour, no matter what. Even if you're walking on it, you're doing an hour on a treadmill. The next time you're going to do it, just, okay, you did an hour and this is the amount of miles you got in. Next time you're going to, add 3 miles. Put an extra 3 miles in that 1 hour. And just keep doing things like that. Write down, today I'm going to do 100 push-ups, and I'm going to do 100 sit-ups, and I'm going to do 100 chin-ups. That's today. And then force yourself. Force yourself to adhere to a schedule. Make a Monday, Wednesday, Friday workout schedule. Give yourself some time off, Like don't even crush yourself to the point where you can't do it. Make it so that you really appreciate those Tuesdays and Thursdays. But on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're going to get after it. And this is what you're going to do. Most people just try to go work out. And you're kind of aimless, and you show up, and like you pick up the jump rope, and you jump a little rope. Maybe you hit the heavy bag a little bit. Maybe you do some curls. But you don't really have an aim. That's why people like to hire trainers, because a trainer will tell you what to do. Well, you can tell yourself what to do. If you don't have money for a trainer, you don't even have to have fucking equipment. You know, with bodyweight squats, sit-ups, chin-ups, push-ups, you could give yourself a brutal full bodyweight workout. And you could find these for free on YouTube. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of these bodyweight workouts you could do. Just force yourself. Write it down. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to do 100 push-ups. I'm going to do 100 chin-ups. I'm going to do 100 sit-ups. Even if it takes me all fucking day. Even if I have to do 10 and 10 and 10 and keep going all day, just that's what you do. Do 10 push-ups, take a break for 20 minutes, do another 10. But get those 100 in. I don't believe in half-assing things. This life is short. You know, if you get into something, get into it. And if you're not into it, don't be into it.
The question is not whether you talk to yourself. The question is whether you are programming yourself for success or failure with every single word you think. I want to share something with you that changed my life completely. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was sitting in my car before an important business meeting. I caught myself saying, I hope I don't mess this up. I'm not sure I'm prepared enough. What if they ask me something I can't answer? Then it hit me like a lightning bolt. I realized I was my own worst enemy, and I had been sabotaging myself for years without even knowing it. That moment of awareness led me to conduct an experiment that transformed everything. I decided to monitor and change my internal dialogue for just 3 days. 3 days. That's all it took to see dramatic changes in my confidence, my performance, and the results I was getting in every area of my life. Here's what I want you to understand. Your brain is the most sophisticated computer ever created, and it's running programs 24 hours a day. These programs are your thoughts, your beliefs, and the words you say to yourself. Most people are running virus-infected software in their minds, programs filled with doubt, fear, and limitation. But you can install new software. You can reprogram your mental computer, and it starts with changing how you talk to yourself. Scientists have proven something remarkable through brain imaging technology. When you repeatedly think certain thoughts, your brain actually forms new neural pathways. These pathways become like highways in your mind, making it easier and more automatic to think those same thoughts again. This is called neuroplasticity. And it means your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on your mental habits. When you tell yourself, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough, or things never work out for me, you are literally strengthening the neural pathways that support failure and limitation. But when you consciously choose to say, I can handle this, or I am capable and confident, or I create my own opportunities, you build highways that lead to success. The most successful people in every field have one thing in common. They have learned to become their own best friend instead of their own worst enemy. They have trained themselves to use supportive, encouraging, and empowering self-talk. This isn't positive thinking for the sake of feeling good. This is strategic mental programming for peak performance.
Many people are suspicious of and oppose change. Yet change is the one thing in life on which we can absolutely count. People who stay young all the years of their lives not only welcome change, but see it for what it really is: new opportunity, new chances for further fulfillment. Attitude is a reflection, a result of a person's will. It is incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we need to train it patiently, day by day. Now let's talk about the attitudes of people who are successful. The top 5% of the people who go sailing through life from one success to another, and who, even when they fail at something, shrug it off and head right out again. No matter who the person is or what he does, men and women in sales, business executives, people in all the professions, wives and mothers, students, top people in the armed forces, public servants, men and women in the service of religion, working men and women in all fields of endeavor. Wherever you find a person doing an outstanding job and getting outstanding results, you will find a person with the right kind of attitude. These people take the attitude toward themselves that they can accomplish what they set out to accomplish, that there's no good reason on earth why they can't be competent, successful. They have a healthy attitude toward themselves and, as a result, toward life and the things they want to accomplish. And because of this, they achieve some remarkable things, and they come to be called successful, outstanding, brilliant, lucky, and a lot of other things. They're quite frequently no more brilliant or outstanding than the majority of the people by whom they're surrounded. But they did develop the right attitude, and they found their accomplishments not too difficult, and many times surprisingly easy, simply because it seems that so few are really trying, really believe in themselves. Successful people come in all shapes and sizes and in widely varying degrees of intelligence, background, and so on. But they all have one thing in common. They expect more good out of life than bad. They expect to succeed more than they fail. If you want something worthwhile, take the attitude that there are a lot more reasons why you can have it than there are that you cannot, and set out to earn it. Go after it, work at it, ask for it, and 9 times out of 10, you'll get it. Our environment is really a mirror of our mental attitude. If we don't like our environment, we have to change our attitude first. Now, the world plays no favorites. It's impersonal. It doesn't care whether we change or not. Adopting a good, healthy attitude toward life doesn't affect the world and the people in it nearly as much as it affects us. It would be impossible to even estimate the number of jobs which have been lost, the number of promotions missed, the number of sales not made, the number of marriages ruined by poor attitudes. But you can number in the millions the jobs which are held but hated, the marriages which are tolerated but unhappy, all because of people who are waiting for the world and others to change toward them, instead of being big enough and wise enough to at least make a test which will prove beyond any shadow of a doubt where most or at least a big part of the trouble lies. Studies made of the lives of literally thousands of successful people have shown that they radiate confidence, assurance, they expect success, and they get success. You can spot these people by the way they walk, by the way they look and act. You can feel it about them when they enter a room. They may be short and fat, or tall and thin, or any combination in between, but they have about them the attitude of success. In the record Greener Pastures, I'll get into this next statement, but right now I want you to realize, if you don't already, that in 5 years or less, you can get right to the top of the work you're now doing. I know this, but the important question here is, do you know this? The minute you do know it, you'll have this right attitude I'm talking about.
You don't read about being an entrepreneur at 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I didn't jump on this because it's cool now and it makes me money and girls. I did it because it's all I ever was. And I implore you, if you came here to be an entrepreneur, but this talk allows you to realize you're really an artist, or you're really a number 3 in a company because you bring this level of energy and you don't want to be a number 1, because let me promise you something about being a number 1. I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm a firefighter. My entire life is taking care of crap, putting out fires. 24/7, 365, my whole life is, this is a problem. Fix this, and guess what? When you're the last line of defense, there's no blaming your boss. There's no blaming the logo. There's no blaming the government. It's all my fault. All of it. And so, it's super sexy, but what's not being talked about is the friends and acquaintances I have who've committed suicide in the entrepreneur land the last 4 years, because nobody talks about the downside. Everybody thinks they're gonna be Zucks. Everybody thinks they're gonna build Snapchat. Go look at the data. The data shows that the far majority of this room will not succeed, not even close to building an actual business. And I don't come here to be somber. I come here to remind you that there's only one thing you can do. The only thing you can do that can trump the moment mommy and daddy had sex to make you. The only thing that can trump that, the only thing that can trump your DNA, the only thing that is controllable, if you want it, if you want this, is work. started using the word work more than the word hustle, just because I want everybody to understand what we're really talking about here. If you've got a big mouth, and a lot of you do here, search the hashtag, and a lot of you say CEO, founder, owner. I call that big mouth. If you've got the audacity to do it, and so many of you've heard this from me, when I audit you, and I do, because I'm curious, it's how I learn. People talk a big game. I especially love when somebody hits me up on social, like, Gary V, you're gonna buy the Jets, I'm gonna buy the Rams, you know? Everybody is buying a sports team. And I love to look at what that person does. And then I'll DM that person and be like, yo bro, nobody, unless they were a trust fund baby, ever bought the Rams when they go skiing for a week when they're 24.
And I think that insanity and greatness are next door neighbors, and they borrow each other's sugar. That's my, that's what I've always said. There's something about mastery, like true mastery, that requires you to shut off massive areas of your life. There's a lot of people that are scared of their ability to do something that's difficult. I don't know if I could force myself to be disciplined. I don't know if I could force myself to take that kind of action. Well, if you do force yourself to take that kind of action, you don't have that question anymore. That question, I don't know if I can do it. Well, you're doing it. So you obviously do it. Can you do it tomorrow? We did it today. Or can you do it tomorrow? Just do it. You get so much more benefit out of a struggle that you choose to embark in versus a struggle that life throws upon you. Get out there and go and do something. Just go. And then in the middle of doing it, it'll become easy. Even if it's not easy, even if it's hard, it's easier than not doing it and wishing that you had done it.
Let me tell you about a study done with basketball players. 2 groups practiced free throws for 30 days. One group physically practiced shooting baskets for 30 minutes daily. The other group spent 15 minutes practicing and 15 minutes sitting quietly, visualizing perfect shots while saying to themselves, perfect form, perfect follow through, nothing but net. At the end of 30 days, both groups improved their shooting percentage by exactly the same amount. The power of mental practice combined with positive self-talk was equal to physical practice. Your internal dialogue creates your external reality. When you consistently tell yourself you're capable, you start noticing opportunities you missed before. When you remind yourself that you're resilient, you bounce back faster from setbacks. When you affirm that you're valuable, you start demanding better treatment from others and better results from yourself. Most people think that confidence comes first, then positive self-talk follows. They have it backwards. Positive self-talk creates confidence. Action taken with positive self-talk creates results. Results create more confidence, which makes positive self-talk feel more natural. It's an upward spiral that starts with changing your internal conversation. The tragic truth is that most people are more critical of themselves than they would ever be of their worst enemy. They say things to themselves that they would never say to another human being. They accept a standard of internal dialogue that they would never tolerate from anyone else. This has to stop if you want to achieve your full potential. And I'm going to challenge you to something that will seem almost too simple to work. For the next 3 days, I want you to become aware of how you talk to yourself. And I want you to consciously choose words that support your success instead of sabotaging it. 3 days of deliberate, positive, empowering self-talk. 3 days of treating yourself like someone you care about and want to see succeed.
The easiest and most effective means of forming a good attitude habit is to begin to act as though you have a good, positive, expectant attitude toward life. That's right. Begin right now to walk, act, and look as though you belong to this group. If you're already in the top 5%, you'll know what I mean. If you've never tried it, you'll be amazed at what happens. Actions trigger feelings, just as feelings trigger actions. Now, let me tell you of a little test you can make which will prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that a good attitude can change a person's life as dramatically as walking from a darkened room into the bright, clear light of day. Not long ago, I read a line which went, "Life is dull only to dull people." This is true, but it also could have read, "Life is interesting only to interesting people," or "Life is successful only to successful people." Now, what I'm trying to say is that you must first become, mentally, from an attitude standpoint, that which you wish to achieve. A famous restaurateur was being interviewed by a reporter who asked, "When did you become successful?" He replied, "I was successful when I was sleeping on park benches, because I knew what I wanted to do and that I would do it." In short, his attitude had been one of success, of expecting success, long before the material, the tangible rewards of success had been earned. We'll get into this particular phase of Lead the Field in record number 3, A Worthy Destination. But for now, remember that a person must act, look, and because of these things, feel successful before the success he seeks can come. Chances are you know people who seem to be what others call lucky. All kinds of good and wonderful things seem to happen to them, and they give the impression of happily sailing through life, having a wonderful time, and getting more accomplished in a year than most people do in 5. This has been figured out fairly scientifically, and if anyone will conscientiously go about the test I'm going to recommend, and stay with it every day for the next 30 days without fail, that person can join this small, happy, and extremely productive group of people. He'll find himself becoming lucky, as they say, and most of his problems will pretty well take care of themselves. Of this you can be sure. The results will be nothing short of amazing. Now, it makes no difference how good a person's attitude has been in the past. Anything can be improved upon, and it's the small refinements upon something already good that makes it great. So here's the test. For the next 30 days, act toward the world, everything and everyone with whom you come in contact, with the attitude which represents the kind of results you want to achieve.
You might think 3 days isn't enough time to create lasting change, but you're wrong. 3 days is enough time to break the automatic pattern of negative thinking. 3 days is enough time to experience the power of supportive self-talk. 3 days is enough time to prove to yourself that you have complete control over your mental state and your results. The words you say to yourself in the next 72 hours will either move you closer to your goals or further away from them. They will either build your confidence or tear it down. They will either create opportunities or blind you to the ones that already exist. The choice is yours, and the time to make that choice is right now. Your current level of success is a direct reflection of your current level of self-talk. If you want to change your results, you must first change your internal dialogue. If you want to achieve more, be more, and have more, it starts with talking to yourself like someone who deserves success, someone who expects success, and someone who creates success through their thoughts, words, and actions. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Make sure it's a conversation that leads to the life you truly want to live. Now, let me tell you about the voice that has been running your life without your permission. This is the voice of limitation, the voice of fear, the voice that whispers you're not ready when opportunity knocks. This voice didn't develop overnight, and understanding where it came from is the first step to silencing it forever. When you were born, you had no limiting beliefs. You had no voice telling you what was impossible. A baby learning to walk doesn't think, "I might fall," or "I'm not coordinated enough." They simply get up, take a step, fall down, and get up again. Somewhere between that fearless child and the person you are today, someone installed limiting software in your mental computer. Maybe it was a parent who said money doesn't grow on trees so often that you developed a scarcity mindset about wealth. Maybe it was a teacher who told you that you weren't smart enough, fast enough, or talented enough. Maybe it was friends who mocked your big dreams until you learned to keep them small and safe. Maybe it was society telling you to be realistic until you forgot how to be remarkable. These voices became your voices. These limitations became your limitations. What started as external criticism became internal programming. And now you carry these people around in your head, continuing their work of keeping you small, safe, and unsuccessful. Listen to the conversations happening in your mind right now as I speak. When I mention achieving great success, does a voice say, That's not for people like me. When I talk about taking bold action, does something whisper, but what if I fail? When I suggest you deserve extraordinary results, does your internal critic respond with, who am I kidding? These automatic responses are costing you everything.
That is, if the result you want is more success in what you're doing, act as though you are already in possession of the success you seek. If you want others to treat you with admiration and respect, treat others with admiration and respect first. Have you ever stopped to think of this? Every human being on earth is the most important human being on earth as far as he or she is concerned. You may never get anyone to admit it, but it's a fact. So for the next 30 days, treat every person with whom you come in contact as the most important person on earth, remembering as you do so that as far as that person is concerned, he is. Now, the reason I say treat everyone in this fashion is mainly because this is the way human beings ought to treat each other, and because it will help you form a habit that will bring you amazing and delightful results for the rest of your life. Have you ever noticed that the higher you go in any organization of value, the nicer the people seem to become? You see, the bigger the person, the easier it is to talk to him, to get along with him, to do business with him. Do you know why? It's because he's got a good attitude, and people with the best attitudes just naturally gravitate toward the top. So for 30 days, act toward others and the world at large in exactly the same manner you want the world and others to act toward you. Treat your wife or husband as the person he or she really is, the most important person in your life. And the same with the children. Carry out into the world each morning for 30 days the kind of attitude you would have if you were the most successful human being on earth. And notice how it quickly develops into an habitual attitude. When a person does this, he should realize he has already placed himself on the road to what he seeks. He is right now in the top 5% of the people in this or any other country. He has prepared the ground and planted the seed. He has made of himself a magnet, an embodiment of that which he seeks. Before metal can be cast into a desired shape, the mold, the expectant receptacle, must first be fashioned. Before a building can be erected, the excavation must be made and the foundation laid. And before a person can achieve the kind of life he wants, he must become that kind of individual. He must think, act, talk, walk, and conduct himself in all of his affairs as would the person he wishes to become. He is then actually that person, and the things that person would have and do will naturally come to him. Almost immediately, a change will be noticed. Irritations that used to frustrate and annoy disappear. When some less informed individual gives you a bad time, stay on the track. When someone cuts in front of you with his car or acts in any other manner that shows his ignorance and lack of courtesy, don't permit yourself to drop to his level. Pity him, for that's what he really deserves. That's the very group a person doesn't want to belong to. And if he acts like them, well, let's face it, he belongs with them.
Every time you think, I'm not smart enough for that promotion, you fail to prepare adequately or present yourself confidently. Every time you tell yourself, I'm not attractive enough, or I'm not interesting enough, you avoid social situations where you could meet your ideal partner or build valuable relationships. Every time you say, I could never start my own business, you ignore opportunities that could change your financial future forever. The critical voice operates like a prison guard in your mind. It keeps you locked in a cell of mediocrity, convincing you that it's protecting you from disappointment when it's actually protecting you from success. It makes you afraid of looking foolish, so you never try anything that requires courage. It makes you fear rejection, so you never ask for what you really want. It makes you terrified of failure, so you never attempt anything great enough to fail at.
There's nothing in the world that men, women, and children want and need more than the feeling that they're important, that they're needed and respected. They will give their love, their affection, their respect, and their business to the person who fills this need. So the magic word is attitude. And in summing up, a few points to keep in mind. 1, it is our attitude at the beginning of a task which, more than anything else, will affect its successful outcome. 2, it is our attitude toward life which determines life's attitude toward us. 3, we are interdependent. It is impossible to succeed without others. And it is our attitude toward others which will determine their attitude toward us. 4, before a person can achieve the kind of life he wants, He must become that kind of individual. He must think, act, talk, walk, and conduct himself in all of his affairs as would the person he wishes to become. 5. The higher you go in any organization of value, the better will be the attitude you'll find. 6. Your mind can hold only one thought at a time, and since there's nothing at all to be gained by being negative, be positive. 7. The deepest craving of human beings is to be needed, to feel important, to be appreciated. Give it to them, and they'll return it to you. 8. Look for the best in new ideas. As someone said, I've never met a person I couldn't learn something from. 9. Don't waste valuable time broadcasting personal problems. It probably won't help you. It cannot help others. 10. Don't talk about your health unless it's good. 11. Radiate the attitude of well-being, of confidence, of a person who knows where he's going. This will inspire those around you, and you'll find good things will begin happening to you. And 12, lastly, for the next 30 days, treat everyone with whom you come in contact as the most important person on earth. If you'll do this for 30 days, you'll do it for the rest of your life.